I'm Larry Ray, President and CEO of American Manganese Inc., listed on the TSX Venture, ticker symbol AMY, A-M-Y, with proprietary patents in the U.S., China, and South Africa. Our focus is on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. China recently legislated the responsibility for recycling onto their electric vehicle manufacturers and importers. For more information, please visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Vermeulen. His website is thegoldandOilGuy.com. Welcome back to the show, Chris, and Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Jim, and thanks for having me on the show.
What kind of a year are you expecting us to have going into 2017?
Yeah, going into 2017, the end of the year kind of squeeze or bulge. I think we're going to see what happens most of the time, more years than not, which is the holiday bulge, meaning we see equities, we see volatility fall, we see volume taper off, and both of those things favor higher prices for equities. And the equities market has had a substantial run since Trump got in. And I think, we've had a little correction here for the last week in equities, and everything is set up here for the market to kind of just continue to move higher, I think, for the next more or less 8 or 9 trading days going into December 30th. And I think it's going to be somewhat of a dull market going into the year end. On the flip side, I think we're going to see some areas of weakness where, we could see commodities continue to underperform substantially, especially like precious metals, which we can talk about. But I think we're going to see large caps and small cap stocks continue to perform really well and push the market higher right into, New Year's Eve.
Now, is this going to be a case like we saw last year with, again, strong growth through the holiday season, and then once we got into January and the first trading day, we saw all the major markets take a nosedive?
Yeah, I think it's going to be deja vu all over again. I feel as though the market is setting up for pretty much the same type of scenario. I think we're going to see the markets go higher into the year end. Everybody's feeling warm and cozy. Trump's in. Stock prices are up. Interest rates are starting to rise. Everything feels so good. And, we're seeing like record levels of bullishness in the market. Everyone is bullish. Everyone's feeling good. And it typically, is a contrarian sign to me that, things are overdone. We're probably going to see the majority of people get hit pretty hard right where it counts, which is going to be equities. So, I think going into January is going to start. Don't know if it'll be the first day again, but I feel as though equities are going to have a pretty big sell-off in January, just like we saw last year, and people are going to flood to the oversold safe havens like bonds and precious metals, gold, silver, mining stocks. It's going to be, I think, a very similar January from last year, or from earlier this year.
Now, I know over the past couple of months, people who are gold bugs have been whining about declining prices, but is this the best time to go out and buy either bullion or mining shares?
Well, we're getting darn close. The charts look extremely oversold. The long-term monthly charts for gold, silver, and miners, they're still in a major basing formation, but they have shown signs mid this year, June, July, August, where it pushed to new multi-year highs. There has been a shift in momentum, long-term momentum to the upside, and we've seen a beautiful kind of 5-wave correction in mining stocks and in silver, and it's flagging down. If you were to look back, the 35,000-foot view, stepping way back, looking at monthly charts, it's a very controlled pullback. It's nice waterfall sell-off, step by step, and we're getting to a point where we're getting to a significant support zone for everything, miners, silver, and gold, and it's a very bullish-looking pattern long-term. Of course, it has had a huge haircut. The junior mining stocks are gone from the GDX from $32 a share down to $19, so it's lost 30-something% of its value. But overall, that's what happens in a major base. We see, really, we talked about this, I think, it was earlier in the year when we saw the massive rally in gold stocks. Typically, you need to see the gold mining stocks jump 50, 60, even 80% before they even get out of their basing formation. And we have seen that. We saw that this year, and this is the first significant pullback. And if you go way back in time on the monthly chart and look at all these long-term charts, we have this size of pullback, these 30% pullbacks in gold, silver, and mining stocks, or more so mining stocks, after, we've kind of already broken out of the base or have tested the breakout once, very similar to what we've done now. So I do feel as though January could be a screaming buy for precious metals, but there are some headwinds right now. We've got the U.S. dollar just continues to climb, and it's trading at, I think it's at 104 or so today. And I've got upward projections of it going to 108. And I think it could do that very quickly by the end of the year. And if so, we're going to see gold, silver, and mining stocks and bonds probably have another washout low. They're going to drop even further. And just like you said, a lot of people, a lot of gold bugs are starting to whine and complain and worrying about, this falling price is driving them nuts because it just keeps sliding lower and lower. And I think it's going to get really ugly to the point where finally, the majority of people holding those positions bail out and they say, I am done. And that will be like the first or second week in January. And that's when the market probably bottoms for gold and silver. And we can see a screaming rally, in metals.
Well, also, too, I remember when gold was 13, 20, in that range, they said, well, if the price goes to 1,100, that's the break-even point for miners to make any money out of it. But I think because they've had 5 tough years in the mining sector, they've got their profitability margins way down, with the cost of energy down, where perhaps at $800 or $900 they're still actually making money.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's still wiggle room for companies to still make money. I think eventually we're going to have a real financial crisis. We're not going to have like a big bank go under and stuff like that. I think we're going to start to see something much larger than that, and it's going to be more global. And I think that'll be when, we see precious metals potentially skyrocket in value. But the market and the way things are, they always drag out way longer. There's always a way to fudge numbers and drag things out and go more in debt before things actually break. I think there's quite a bit of time still, I think, before we see some serious negative news or event that'll send precious metals through the roof. We could see gold and silver continue to linger here for a while. Companies are still making money, I think, at $1,100 or $1,000 per ounce. Not much, but like what you've said, they've been able to trim expenses and costs so well that they're running very efficient. And when there is a new bull market in metals, when they actually can break above gold, above the 1,400 mark and close above it, and that'll be the close above the major basing formation. And after that, it's going to be an incredible rally that will most likely happen when there is some type of real financial stress on the world, or at least some big economy. So
we'll have more with Chris Vermeulen right after the break.
Gem International is a new diamond explorer in the richest diamond producing country in Africa, located next to the 4th largest producing diamond mine in the world. International Spotlight is on an 1,109 carat diamond recently discovered in Africa by a fellow Canadian junior with a proven operator and finance team. Gem International trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol GI. Visit us at gemdiamondmining.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Chris Vermeulen. Chris, with very low interest rates, a lot of companies have gone out and borrowed a load of cash and haven't done anything with it except sit on it. There's literally piles of cash out there not doing anything what we would call productive. What happens with that money if the markets take a downturn? Is that when people go in and swoop in and buy a lot of stocks?
That's a really tough call. It depends. I guess looking at it from a corporate standpoint, it really depends on, I guess, their situation and who's kind of running the show. Because there's a lot. There's really two major different types of CEOs and people in charge. There's the risk takers, the guys who like to go out there and get their hands dirty when when the streets are bleeding. They like to get out there and get involved and start accumulating. And there's other guys that say we need to just tighten up, sit on our cash, and they kind of just get scared and they hold on to things until they start to feel comfortable again. So it's really hard to say what all that capital is going to do. Eventually, if there is a huge stock market correction, it will roll into equities, or they're going to, if we have some type of big recession and we actually see price of equipment, all that stuff come down, people will probably start using it to kind of tool up. The leaders will start tooling up or taking over other companies to kind of build themselves up. But I'm not really sure what each situation would be with all that capital and that cash. Right now and for the last 8 years, is equities have been the play to go, and they just keep going up and up. In the last couple of years, large caps have really just traded sideways with very minor growth, but they do continue to kind of etch their way higher. With interest rates starting to move up, that could be a major turning point in the equities market. When rates start to rise after a huge multi-year bull market like this, we have seen that once rates start to go up, it typically is kind of the tipping point for the equities market and puts some serious stress on it, because money is going to start moving to these safer havens to squeeze out a little. They're going to get a little more interest on it, and people are still, unfortunately, people are still extremely bullish on stocks. And I only say that because I do feel as though there is a larger correction coming. I think this whole Trump thing has created a massive squeeze higher for companies' shares. It's just exploded, and the interest rate is, it's really done a lot of damage to the safe haven plays and boosted the equities. So, I don't know what all this cash is going to do. Everybody's kind of got their own scenario and their own protective game plan, but it's going to be very interesting going into January and seeing how people are going to take action for the year.
Warren Buffett is sitting on a pile of $75 billion in cash, and he says he's waiting for the next big thing. Any idea what that might be?
Oh, yeah. Who knows? I don't know. You know what? We haven't seen a whole lot really in the pharmaceutical industry that I know of. I don't follow it that closely, but there's been so much technical advance in technology and electronics equipment and stuff like that. You got to wonder, when is something like, how many fundraisers are there and lotteries and all that stuff based around all these terrible diseases? Somebody's eventually got to crack some of these codes and be able to do it, and there's going to be a major game changer. We haven't had something like that happen in a long time. It's who knows what the next big opportunity will be. It's kind of going to be one of those surprises. Who would have thought?
Well, it looks like a lot of people are hanging their hats on the robot cars. Google is, of course, trying to get into the robot car business. BlackBerry just announced that it's setting up a research center in Ottawa to get into the autonomous car biz. So that could be the next big thing. But again, we've seen the shakeout with computers, other high tech. Which one are they going to pick? Are they going to pick Betamax, or are they going to pick VHS? Yeah. If you think about the days of videotape, which technology are they going to go with? And so I could see a Buffett saying, well, I mean, his philosophy has always been, I don't invest in things I don't understand. Well, right. I think at his age, maybe he doesn't understand self-driving cars, so he's scared not to go into it, or to go into it. Yeah,
I could see that. But you know what? There's such a powerful move, I think, going towards that autonomous car. Like, I was talking about the other day, it's just amazing. To think that cars could just kind of be driverless and they could pick you up and take you home, and if they can, we're probably not all that far from it happening. Like, it already is happening, but I mean far from people having them and they're kind of zipping around everywhere, not really having to do anything. That will be a major game changer, for sure. I saw a video this morning that Mark Zuckerberg posted about his, I think it's called Jeffrey or something. It's like this computer system that runs your whole house. and you talk to it. You just wake up, you have the app on your phone, and you say, "Hey, Jeffrey, good morning, Jeffrey," and the blinds open. It was a pretty cool video, and what he can do, and how it integrates with his family and wife and kids and stuff. If you haven't seen it, I don't know what it's called exactly. I think it's called, I guess just type in Mark Zuckerberg Jeffrey video or something and it'll pop up. But it's really crazy what is coming around with technology, that it's doing all these things in your house for you. It would be a pretty expensive house to have all these automated blinds and toasters and stuff that he's got proposed there. But it's, technology is definitely going to change the way my kids or their kids are going to be living. That is for sure, in a huge way. They're going to be like, "You used to drive? Why do you drive? You actually get into accidents." It's going to be like robots doing everything. We're going to have those helicopter child. We're going to be like, everybody's taken care of by electronics now, and not you don't have to worry about anything.
And how close are we to the cars? Japan expects to have robot cabs in operation when Tokyo hosts the Olympics in 2020, 3 years from now. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's awesome. That's going to be, I used to run an importing business from China, and I can never understand, how can they have so many vehicles and all that stuff over there? Like, their stuff is junk. None of their stuff lasts. Like, you'd think you'd go over there and you'd be driving down the street and you'd see like 5,000 broken down cars down the side of the road. I don't know how they make all this stuff. How come they can make stuff, they use it and it works, and we get it over here and it's junk?
Well, yes. Well, we used to say that about stuff made in Japan back in the 60s.
Yeah,
true. Then Japan became the masters of quality manufacture. It's what the consumer demands. If you want to buy cheap, you get cheap.
Yep. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Well, Chris, I think you're going to have a happy new year, a great Christmas, simply because you're a great person.
Well, thank you, Jim. Hopefully you have a great holiday season as well.
All the best.
All right. Take care. Appreciate it.
My guest has been Chris Vermeulen. His website, thegoldanoilguy.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at Talk Digital Net, on YouTube or Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show can be emailed to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Happy holidays.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.